Hello everybody. How you doing today? Having a lazy Saturday and was just thinking about Second Life and I thought, hey, why not do a stream today? Because I actually have some free time. A few of my other projects that I was planning on doing sort of fell through. I don't know what the deal is, but for some reason one of the Second Life videos I made a few days ago, or actually it was more like a week, 2 weeks ago, has been like blowing up. And it's really funny because I don't even think it's like one of my better videos. Certainly not one of my better Second Life streams. That's kind of cool. It looks like a giant spider. Vertical sim, huh? I don't know. It looks pretty messy, so I don't really think I want to go there. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Alright, I'm curious. I'm just gonna... We're back on the random train today. Wow, this is a real... I feel like I'm in Inception here. You know, where like the cityscape is like folding up into the sky. That's like the second time I've referenced Inception since I started making these videos. There's one of the famous Second Life Stargates. Looks more like a prop than one of the actual network members. It's a pretty nice tank model. God, I'm just never gonna get over how totally awesome Firestorm is compared to the official viewer at this point. It's just so easy to like inspect things fluidly. So this sim looks kind of like it's somebody's like personal sandbox pretty much for just playing around out with their cool, it's got those special like all-terrain wheels that like NASA uses for their Mars rover and stuff. These are pretty cool models. One critique I have for like any sort of weapon like this, where it's like armored on the outside like a tank, right? And you see this all the time. It's like one of the most common things, actually. Common, I would say, flaws in construction of armored mechs or military vehicles. You see these like hydraulic tubes. I mean, I'm assuming they're hydraulic tubes or coolant tubes. And they're basically fully exposed, right? The same with this tank. Like, these are maybe power conduits or, you know, like I said, coolant tubes. We don't really know exactly what they are. All we know is that they're, like, fully exposed on the outside of what is otherwise an armored vehicle. So, in other words, if some other vehicle, like a tank, starts shelling this like ion cannon or particle beam or whatever it is, and they hit one of these tubes, unless these tubes are totally expendable, it's really not gonna help with the performance of the vehicle or the weapon system. So if you're like a mecha creator and you make armored vehicles, like, yes, aesthetically cables and wires that are exposed may look cool. These are actually some really cool vehicles here. So they may look cool and they really like add something aesthetically. However, in terms of functionality, it's absolutely crazy to have exposed wires like that on an armored vehicle, because you're just asking for your vehicle to basically be destroyed, or at least the functionality being compromised. In any sort of like real military, heavily armored or hardened piece of ordnance like that, basically all of the vulnerable wires, cables, coolant tubes, they're all like kind of like buried underneath the armor plates rather than being exposed. The same goes for this. This cylinder trope. Like, these can be pressurized cylinders or canisters that have ordnance in it. this is another super common thing that you see all the time in like mecha, and I think it pretty much started with like Neon Genesis and like even farther back. That this cylinder thing became like a common feature in mechas and stuff like that. Once again, having exposed cylinders that are critical to the functionality of the machine or the robot, not a good idea, because just one 50 cal bullet hitting one of those cylinders and breaking it off or exploding it, rupturing it, damaging it in any way is going to just completely compromise your this is kind of cool. It's like a little scene that they set up over here. So yeah, bottom line, if you want to make a successful military vehicle or robot, put the vulnerable stuff underneath the armor instead of on the outside. I mean, don't leave stuff like that just hanging out for, snipers to target. Kind of a no-brainer, but for some reason 3D artists rarely, if ever, seem to consider the practical side of weaponry. Wow, this is a beautiful train. I guess I should probably be inspecting all these because I'm curious to know, like, Rideco? I don't know. Who knows? Some nice texturing job on there. Look at all the, like, the powertrain and the wheels and everything is all more or less fleshed out. Lots of vehicles. Also a great texturing job on there. It's like a water truck. That's got like a little water cannon on the top too. That's cool. Yeah, if anything, Firestorm makes inspection so easy that it's almost too fluid. I find myself kind of like zooming in too quickly because I'm used to the lagginess of the Second Life official viewer. It's a nice construction equipment. Really nice job on the texturing here. Although, like, and this of course isn't really the fault of the 3D artist, but because of Second Life's inherent 1024 by 1024 limit for texture sizes, there's going to be a little bit of murkiness unless the 3D artist wants to go the extra mile and break everything they build down into like discrete connected sections, which is just a pain in the ass. And honestly, I don't feel like anybody should feel obligated to go that far out of their way just to accommodate like a engine limitation. Wow, look at all these appliances. Sorry, Meme. My cat's doing his best to sabotage my video efforts today, but I'm just repeatedly lifting him off of the desk. He always targets the keyboard. I do not know why. Maybe he likes the keys, the way they like massage his tender flesh. I don't know. Shipping containers. Radico. I think that's how you pronounce that. Alright, what else is on this sim? Oh cool, there's like a rainstorm over here. I don't know what this is. Just some manipulatable object. Oh yeah, this definitely looks like whoever was working on this sim was going for that curved cityscape like in Inception. That's pretty cool, actually. Let's see, can I walk on this? Of course, because Second Life doesn't have like normal gravity. I mean, it has gravity, but it's like you can stick to surfaces like a spider, basically. I mean, you can walk up pretty much a sheer face. Like, let's see if I can walk up the side of one of these buildings. Yeah, so there is a limit. Like, I don't know what it is. It's probably like 50 degrees or something. I could probably walk all the way up there if I wanted to, though. This is pretty neat as a concept. It looks like it's gonna be a real bear, though, for this person to pull this off. I mean, he's kind of blocked it out with the prim placeholders, but in terms of actually fleshing it out fully, I think it's gonna be quite a challenge. So yeah, this is kind of a cool sim. Just conceptually kind of neat, too, to see somebody doing something with the sim that is atypical, you know, because taking advantage of Second Life's inherent physics-defying capabilities and actually like incorporating that into the architecture of a sim is a pretty cool idea. But I guess that's pretty much all that is on this sim. There might be some stuff way up in the clouds, but I don't know. Maybe. Alright, so that's vertical sim. Creating technologies to help sim owners recycle large unused real estate for fun. Content creator friendly hangout areas. Mecha, FPS, RTS games, content creators, full estate. Nexi Malthus, it looks like, is the owner of the sim. Core development. Yeah, so I'm going to paste the SL URL in here into the chat. And then it's on to explore more grim, more sims. God. Yeah, I don't know. Since I've essentially, in a way, opened the floodgates to having other residents suggest possible sim destinations. It's a weird pattern of land for sale in that sim. Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody wants to recommend specific sims for me to explore, I guess feel free. However, keep in mind, like, I will be doing like a small background check to make sure that it's like all on the up and up, and I also will be like straight up calling you out and like posting the chats or emails or whatever so that it's full disclosure and everybody knows like who is suggesting the sims so people can do their own due diligence if they see fit, because in no way do I want to be in a situation where I'm like promoting any sort of sims for the financial gain of anybody. I want to really like keep this as commercial free as possible so that it stays fun and in the spirit of exploration and doesn't get a bunch of weird biases or you know, other considerations that might compromise sort of the artistic endeavor, I guess, of not only the projects but these like series of videos that I'm making too. Louisiana. Okay. Let's try this out. Oh, no valid parcel. It's a shame. I've actually been to Louisiana, so I was looking forward to seeing if it was in any way reminiscent of the real thing. What is this? I can't read that. Shadow Crest. I don't know. Okay, alright. Try it out. Kinda looks like just a shop sim. Shop sim is just what I call like any sim where the entire sim is dedicated to a single building that is then a shop of a person or group of people who are trying to sell a product. And while I do get a little bit of entertainment value and interest out of visiting shops, in general they're just really boring and remind me of like the cancer that is capitalism and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, it's just like skins and faces. And I don't know, I was thinking about this a lot this morning, actually. Before I even got on here, I was thinking about cultural narcissism was kind of like the phrase that just popped into my mind. Because like if you go to the marketplace and you're looking at like the best-selling items, or the just what's selling currently, or what people are promoting, pretty much every item. In fact, let me see if I can just really quickly. I'm gonna first let me like homogenize my browser window here. Okay. I'm gonna go to the marketplace. And alright, okay, so here's like the marketplace homepage, right? And like here's the featured items, which people pay to promote these. Like creators literally pay Linden Labs to have this stuff like put on the front page. I've done this a couple times with a few of my items, just really in the beginning as an experiment. But just take a look at what we have here. I mean, the images kind of speak for themselves, right? A lot of like really borderline pornographic, I'd say blatantly pornographic stuff, like quote unquote sexy stuff. Here's like something like a little atypical, but mostly it's just kind of T&A. Like usually it's women too. It's like there's not a lot of gender equity. Like look at how slutty this stuff is. Like no one would ever wear this in real life unless it was like some nude beach in Brazil, or whatever. This is a little more conservative, trendy, without being too like. Here's an actual male, like what is this, like a jacket, like a motorcycle jacket or something. Lizard dragon. I don't know. It's kind of cool to just look through here every once in a while to get an idea of what is being promoted. And usually the people who have the money are the ones who can afford to do the promotions. So it's sort of a reflection to a degree of what is economically viable in Second Life. And then this is my favorite section. I honestly wish this was bigger. I wish it was the same size as the featured items. I think that would be really cool. Like, because it shows you what people are actually literally buying and clicking on right now. So we got like hairstyle, dress, a tree, more dresses, clothing mega pack, more clothes, a necklace, some porno stuff. I'm gonna refresh. Every time you refresh, this list refreshes too, so you can see, the next round of what people are buying. Shoes, skin, facial hair. So like ultimately, I mean, you see the pattern here. It's basically just avatar accessories, things that are like entirely human centric. Like that last round, it had a tree, which is like, let's see, if there's 8 items here, here's like a washing machine, right? So like that's 1 out of 8 items that is not entirely human or superficial, avatar centric, basically. Night set, Mardi Gras, skin, navel, hair. And every time you refresh this, it's going to be more or less the same. Like maybe here, trees again, but it's all like appearance, clothes, hair, etc. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what goes on in Second Life. And like I was saying before, this phrase cultural narcissism kind of popped into my head this morning. Although I don't think that's really a good phrase. Like it doesn't really completely capture sort of what I was thinking of, because the word culture or cultural is vague. It's not really. I mean, you could say that the egocentricity and sort of the anthropocentrism of the human race is sort of our culture in a way, but I think it would be disingenuous to just completely define our culture in those terms, because culture is such a vast thing. However, culture is kind of a meta concept that's self-referential, in which case, when you're talking about culture, using it in a phrase like cultural narcissism, I think you could more or less plausibly say that there's a loose association there with the anthropocentrism of humans. So it's not like a horribly inaccurate phrase. It wasn't just exactly what I was kind of hoping to nail with what I was thinking. But yeah, the essence of the premise is like that for whatever reason. I mean, and this is something that you could discuss almost indefinitely, or at least I could. Um, Human nature, the sort of like human fixation with the self. I mean, it might go as far back to our fundamental nature of like sophisticated animals that have this ability to be like self-aware. I mean, science has pretty much given us conclusive proof, however, that like plants and animals, things that aren't human, also have primitive, or I mean, primitive isn't a great word, but rudimentary or spectrally incremental consciousness that, while is not maybe as sophisticated or as advanced as our own, or advanced, there we go, more like human centric sort of thinking. Let's just say different, right? Like a different type of consciousness that may or may not be superior or inferior to our own. That these other entities in the universe have consciousness like we do, but humans are very like self-referential and self-focused. A lot of the times it's like it seems like all humans think about is humanity and themselves and other people, and that's really all they see in the world. And that kind of thing is sort of reflected within Second Life as a meta macrocosm of like social and cultural norms, I guess you might say. That just the way that this self-obsession, or like I was saying, the phrase that I was using, cultural narcissism, is so dominant in our species and our civilization, and it's really a fascinating phenomenon to just observe and try to like figure out. Like, is it really just as simple as like we evolved this level of higher heightened consciousness, and then once that happened, it was like the cat was out of the bag, and there was no way to put the genie back in the bottle, and we just essentially now are stuck in this loop where it's incredibly difficult for human beings to think outside that box and to look at the larger world, when there's like a human looks at another human, and that's like there's this huge draw there, this like captivation, because of our unique ability to like connect psychologically and through dialogue and words with other humans. And like loneliness also a factor. Like, nobody likes to be alone, and the only way for humans to really feel fully not alone is if they have like another human or group of humans to bounce their consciousness off of, and to have their thoughts reflected and perceived. I mean, that's like a huge cultural thing. So, I mean, there's just so many aspects to it, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just a stage in human development, and eventually we'll get over it. However, I mean, you can ask yourself, like, is it healthy to be that way? Is it something that we should be trying to like get over and evolve or slash grow past? I'm like stuck here. I can't get inside for some reason. It's like the doors are open, but they're not. That's kind of funny. Like, it's a mall, and like the whole purpose is for people to just walk around and shop at these places, and yet their doors are broken and you can't walk through all the doors to see everything. It's kind of ironic. Looks like the whole shop isn't even completely filled out. Just kind of funny. But these prefab buildings are so large. I don't know. All I can really give is my personal opinion at the end of the day, and I feel like cultural narcissism is not great. It's at its worst, it's very like harmful, not only psychologically but in sort of a greater sense of like ecosystems and uh, I mean clearly it's look at this, the clearance here of the staircase. Like my avatar's like I think like 7 feet or 8 feet. He's trying to walk down these stairs. He's gonna get cut in half. Luckily, it's like phantom, so he can just walk right through. But that's a little architectural issue there. Yeah. The problem I see is when humans focus entirely on human affairs and only are looking at sort of like their own greatness and their own activity, they're failing to see the larger world and the greater complexity that surrounds them. Some of that complexity is fascinating and intellectually stimulating and worth experiencing. But if you got tunnel vision and you're myopically focusing on just human affairs, you can miss all that stuff and therefore be like a less complicated person. I don't know. We're just like containers for information, and so the complexity that we observe becomes part of us. I'm gonna post the SL URL for this just in case anybody wants to take a look. Let's see, 30. I'm not even halfway into this stream. Crazy. Yeah. So personally, I'm more of a believer in not like cultural narcissism, but like all right, nascent. Have I been here? Oh, it's a store. I just saw a store. I kind of want to see something different. Awenia. All right, let's try this. Just jumping in blind. Ugh, there he goes. Back into the water. I really should have a fish for an avatar. The way Neotoy story is just never stops getting into the water. Oh, cool. Looks like a floating island steampunk airship type thing. Chock full of crystals. Yeah, so personally, I kind of strive, I think with very limited success, but I still try, which is more than I think a lot of people do, to like have a more holistic cultural perspective. Ugh, another doorway I can't get through. What is with these doors today? Yeah, so incorporating as much as you can into your analysis of culture and physical phenomena. I think for me it extends that far at least. So like when you enter like a room or a courtyard or anywhere like a beach where there's people and nature and other things, physical objects, whether they're artificial or naturally occurring to some level, like try to put everything in context and try to kind of give everything initially equal weight instead of, looks like a construction setup there for putting this together. I like those little lightning flashes. That kind of adds a lot for me. It's a cool effect. It's just like a spinning, glowing, flickering lightning construct, but still effective visually. Yeah, that's the really important thing. The bias, I guess. Cultural narcissism is all about bias. It's like humans are the center of the universe. Humans are the sun. And it's kind of a backwards sort of way of looking at things. But then again, like, if you are a human, there's a certain sort of brutal logic to it, because naturally you have to be, you're stuck in your body, and that's all you can really know for certain. Even that is kind of iffy sometimes. You kind of wonder, like, what is real? Am I real? Is anything real? But at the end of the day, you're still like in your body to some degree, so to have that be this dominant focal point around which everything else, so it manifests and revolves, makes sense. But then at some point you become aware that like there's more going on out there than just me and my affairs and my perceptions. There's a whole universe of possibilities. This is hard to navigate. Looks like a work in progress. I like how each building has a big letter above it. That could really make it easy if you were trying to map this place. Kind of a Atlantis meets Arabian Nights sort of vibe, with a little bit of sci-fi kind of element. Oh, cool, a catwalk. I love catwalks. This feels like something out of Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, definitely a work in progress here. Those crystals are pretty cool. Not too much to see though, really. I suppose a lot of Sims are like this. They're just like works in progress, with everything kind of like spread out. Tensor's Flying Market Quest. So it looks like some kind of an experience that somebody might be working on. Yeah, it is definitely some kind of an experience, but it's still under construction. Cool. I still haven't actually done an experience in Second Life, so I don't know like if how fun they are or how easy they are to navigate. Maybe one of these days I'll do a experience video. Yeah, so not really a whole lot to see here, but maybe in 6 months this will be like some totally mind-blowing experience. Who knows? It's already kind of fun to just walk around and navigate as it is, just for a quick like 10 minutes or so. Alright. Blue Water Cove. It's gonna be like one of those gaming casino type beach things. Golden Sunset, an adult sim, so who knows what's on here. Probably some NC-17. Oh good, flying's not turned off. What is going on here? Whoa. Whoa, that was weird. I guess the terrain, it's like a mega prim, maybe. Like the external terrain outside the bounds of the sim was a mega prim and it like hadn't completely appeared, or maybe it was like a mega mesh, I don't know. Yeah, we got the classic tropical beach type thing here. That's funny, the sim that I looked at right before this, I thought it was basically the same thing. There are so many of these sims. It's an interesting succulent. Barrel planter Rome. Doesn't say what kind of plant those are. It's bars and probably dance floors, bungalows. God, is there like a central? And the quintessential lighthouse. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. The sim is kind of just a bunch of buildings scattered around. I don't know, it's got kind of a nice aesthetic appeal just initially when you're like looking around. Like it might have been thrown together, but it's not horrible. It's just I don't know if I'm gonna get booted or not, because I'm not sure. I'm still in that private property area. Like when I first rezzed, I wasn't. I'm just gonna ignore that, see what happens. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these like deep philosophical questions sort of have to be open-ended and have to remain open-ended, because they're so like deeply personal. Like that's one thing. Everybody's gonna have their own unique perspective and feelings and stuff, in which case like there's value there. I mean, anytime you have everyone thinking the same way, I think that's like really a dangerous situation. That's the kind of thing that gives rise to nationalism and fascism and all those horrible things. Diversity of thinking and feeling is really critical for, I don't know, just cultural sustainability, species survival. So yeah, I'm sure anyone who watches this video or listens to what I've said so far has some pretty strong feelings about all those things. I'm still like on the fence definitely about a lot of that stuff. Looks like there's these little teleporter pads to each sort of central location. Barbecue. Jesus, I'm having trouble focusing on this element. Yeah, it pretty much seems just like a bunch of sort of idyllic bungalow mansion type houses for people to hang out in. Although, no people. Ugh, sorry. Too many transparencies inside there. I was getting like caught up on windows and stuff trying to look through the building. Sometimes you think you're inside, but you're not. You're actually still behind a piece of glass. And then the pointer, like that I use to focus and basically orbit all the items. Man, those are high-end washers and dryers for Second Life. Like the pointer basically sticks on a piece of glass, and then I'm orbiting around a window instead of the inside of a building, like an object inside the building. It's hard to explain, but yeah, I don't know why this building is really it seems to have a lot of windows that I keep getting caught on or something. It's probably, this is a situation where basically what I would do is kind of TP into the master bedroom and then stand up, and then now I can just walk around inside the house and see it the way it was sort of intended to be experienced, I guess. I love how with virtual worlds you can move through a simulated environment with the speed of consciousness, more or less. However, you're navigating through these analogs, these kind of like skeuomorphic worlds, where under normal circumstances, if you didn't have sort of this satellite eye in the sky that allowed you to kind of see and move at will, you would never in a million years be able to experience the environment with this level of alacrity. Yeah, I'd say these environments are like, I missed that cool globe. So like C+ level environments, mainly because I feel like the assets are medium quality. Some of them are higher than medium. The composition is not great. It's not horrible either, but it's not great. Mainly the real problem I have that sort of gives it a lower rating from my point of view is the mixture of objects is kind of I don't know, incongruous. I feel like the choices of furniture, things don't really go together. Like you've got like this oil lantern, and then you've got like this modern wall, and then this like kitschy Three Wolf Moon style kind of painting, and then you got like oak furniture, walnut, whatever, and then you got like some completely different thing over here. Nothing really like goes together. It's kind of a whole bunch of different styles all kind of clashing together. So they don't look bad, they just look kind of like not as well thought out as they probably should be, I think. Okay, that's the security area, so I just have to like stay clear of that zone. I think it's probably this house basically that's the I was still inside the area. Alright, back to Ahern. I think that's gonna be it for me for today. That last sim, did I even have a bead on that? Disco Club? Oh yeah, Golden Sunset. See if I can grab the SL URL from from here. Okay, here we go. Alright, yeah, if anybody wants to visit that. So yeah, thanks for watching on this Saturday. I hope you all have a good weekend. I certainly had some fun today. And maybe I'll be back on my usual sort of Wednesday schedule for the time being. I don't know. Things are going to get much busier for me as spring sort of transitions more into summer because of my farm work. It's really like incredibly busy around that time of year. So I don't know. Anyway, catch y'all later. Thanks for watching.